What up, G's? Brad the Guitarologist here with a exciting new video coming at you. I just wanted to show you the state of this packaging. So in case there's any problems with this amplifier, you'll understand maybe some of it was due to shipping. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff just basically thrown in here willy-nilly. I really haven't shuffled this around all that much, but you can see, let's see, hang on. This is Amplifier Chassis, and it's just kind of in here with packing peanuts and stuff, which is not always the right way to go, I'll be honest, because without wrapping this in something like, you know, some of this stuff, maybe bubble wrap or a piece of cardboard at the very least, you know, you run the risk of doing damage with the packing material itself. Can do damage on something like this, especially when it was packed this loosely. But anyway, let's get this thing out of here and see what kind of damage was done. I'm sure this is the tubes, and it should be a fun one. Okay, so here is this Ampeg Gemini VI out on the bench, and you can see he's sent along a foot switch. Here's a box full of tubes, and he's sent along a note as well. One of the things we notice, and we'll read the note in just a moment, but one of the things we'll notice is that this transformer over here, which is the power transformer, is leaning completely off kilter. Now, I don't know if that happened during shipping. I suspect it probably did. Anytime you have transformers this large, you know, if they're not strapped down very well, and if it's not packed very, very tightly, you end up with this sort of problem. But here we have a note, and it says, and let's look at the amp while I read this and see what all has been done. I mean, right away I can see some things that he didn't list on his list that have been done to this amp. I don't know if he did it, but someone has done it. Okay. Hey Brad, here's some things that have been done to the amp. Recap job. Okay. Well, we have a couple of caps that have been changed here. Those. We have an electrolytic down here that was not changed on the very end. You're not going to be able to see it. It's underneath there. This thing, I just look in here and it's just screaming out to me to almost be rewired. Okay, the foot switch was made detachable. Installed a 3-prong cord. Replaced diodes. Original was it says diode. Original was cracked. And I'm certain he means these power diodes over here, because it looks like 2 of them have been replaced. I don't know how well they've been soldered in, though. That's the only thing. There was this end looks kind of okay, although we got stray wires kind of running everywhere. But on the other end, you can see they're just kind of laid across there. That's really not what you want to see. I mean, I'll have to touch that up, make it a little better than it is. I'm not sure if there's enough lead there to go down inside the eyelet, but I'll do my best and see what we can come up with. But you know, just little things like that are all going to need to be fixed. We do have a can capacitor here that looks to me like it's definitely been replaced. It looks like it could be cleaned up a little bit. We've got some cold solder joints. Here's one over here. It's cold for sure. I'm also seeing down here where these tube sockets have also been replaced. I mean, the solder is okay, but we've got, you know, just little examples like right here where this really wasn't crimped down, you know, and it's just kind of flying up and out. And it could be cleaned up a little bit, made a little bit neater. We have this one over here, which is also replaced. You can tell that by the bolts. The solder on that is, I mean, that's not an Ampeg factory job. The way you can tell is just little subtle clues. But I mean, even if it wasn't for these bolts right here screaming out that this thing had been changed, the socket itself looks too clean. It looks way cleaner than the rest of the amp. And also, like this little wire right here, you see how it has a bend right there, as if it had been on something else previously. See that little bend right there? So that's definitely been put on there after having been on something else. So, but why would we be replacing preamp tube sockets? It's kind of an odd thing to replace in an amp like this. Maybe the sockets got loose. or something like that. It does happen, but we do still have the original optocoupler over here. But this thing sounds like it's got a lot of problems. Let me read the rest of this note to you. Original issue with the amp before the previous work was done. It would blow a fuse when switched on from bypass. It was also drawing insane amounts of current, 12 amps. After the recap, it worked fine for about a month. And now when on, no sound through the speaker, but sounds as if a rattle when the guitar is strummed comes from the output transformer. Ooh, that's a bad sign. Usually when you hear sounds coming from an output transformer and it's hooked up and there's nothing going to the speaker, that means one of the windings on the output transformer is probably blown. That's the first thing I'm going to test, because if this amplifier's output transformer is blown, this thing it's going to be a money pit, probably. And he may just be better off cutting his losses and selling this on to a hobbyist. Well, we can get into it, and I can certainly do it, and I can replace an output transformer. That's not a huge deal. But, you know, the transformer itself is probably going to be $100 or more part. You know, there's a very distinct possibility that this could get very expensive very fast if that output transformer right there is dead, and I suspect it very well may be. So that's the first thing we're going to do. We're going to test the primary winding of the output transformer, and my suspicion is that sucker's either going to be open, or it's not going to have anything near the appropriate impedance. So let's check it. The other thing I noticed about this output transformer is that the legs on it have, see the legs on it? See, it's off kilter also. See, the legs on this side are pulled downward. It's, you know, this thing has been dropped on the end, probably during shipping, and this whole transformer's tried to go that way. Is that even the original output transformer, I wonder? Because look at this, we got leads flying every freaking where. Did Ampeg really put this thing in like this? I kind of doubt that. Really? We've got two leads out here that are the secondary, this yellow and black, so those I'm certain are the secondary. But I'm not sure why we would have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5 different leads coming out of the primary. Why would we have 5 primary leads? Okay, so that's kind of gotten me curious whether this transformer is even original to this amp. I don't think this output transformer or this power transformer are original to this amp. This one is a Philco. So I definitely don't think that is original to this amp. The other reason I don't think that is because obviously we have some holes here with nothing in them. We also have some weird mounting brackets down here. Look at the way this thing is supposed to be mounted. These screws just kind of slide into here and then tighten down. So that's supposed to be the mounting method for this thing, and you know, there's a couple more over here, but we're missing one. This thing is a mess. This is going to be a lot of work, because who knows the state of this stuff. This transformer may work, but who knows if it's even meant for this amp. Maybe that's why shit's been blowing. You know, it could be way off spec. This transformer, I'm not sure what the deal is with all these flying leads. There's like, it doesn't make sense to me that there would be 5 different leads coming out of here. We've got, okay, well, let's try to trace everything out. We've got, okay, we have this red one here, which should be going to the center tap, I presume. And then we have leads to each of the output transformers, so that's those 3. This one, and this one. So what's up with the, why do we have 2 additional leads beyond that? Is this some kind of linear? This might be a linear transformer. That's probably what it is. Let's look at the schematic. Well, this is drawn kind of funky. It's showing the center tap. It's showing a center tap here. being connected to the speaker. I don't know. That's wrong, I'm sure. But yeah, we're only supposed to have 1, 2, 3 leads connected to the primary on this amplifier. So what the hell are the extra leads? Is this, you know what I'm kind of thinking? I'm kind of thinking this is a complete clusterfuck. I just hate to even touch my soldering iron to anything at all, you know, because as soon as I do, I kind of own it. Do you know what I mean? This is one of those situations where, as a tech, you know, I'm not trying to disappoint someone, you know, first of all. Second of all, they already spent some money to ship it to me. And by all rights, I've taken a look at the thing, so I am entitled to a bench fee, even. In this case, though, you know, I may even waive it just because this is something I could fix, but this is not something I really have time for right now. In all honesty, I've got so many things in line, and this is not something I can really even. I don't think I can delve into this. Let me think about it for a bit, and then we'll turn the camera back on. I might hum and haw some more about it, but I mean, just look at the way everything's wired in here. Everything that's already been done is going to have to be redone. This isn't good. You know, this whole board is going to have to be supported better. There's missing screws. There's a missing mounting screw there. It's just, there's tons of little things. And then you've got the 2 sockets down here, which have been, again, replaced, and God knows whether those were wired correctly. And this output transformer, this can't be right. All right. Well, I think what I might do is, God. So what I'm probably going to do is just call the customer back, give him a rough quote of what it's probably going to end up costing him if I go forward with this in terms of hours. The labor is usually the biggest cost in a project, and this is going to well exceed, this is probably going to be double or triple my normal fee, which is going to seriously butt up against the full value of this amplifier, even in mint condition. I would say a Gemini VI GS15R like this is probably only worth maybe $750, $800, something like that. You can usually pick them up for. I mean, this one doesn't look. There's no cap for the. Maybe it's. I guess that cap right there could be in the box, maybe. But there's no cap for that. I mean, I've got one, but it's just tons of little things, man. It all adds up. And again, I'm going to have to redo every bit of work, really, that's been done in here. I'm going to have to reflow all the solder. I'm going to have to trace out to make sure everything's wired up correctly on the... I would have to make sure these are wired up correctly, first of all. This output transformer shit has got to be sorted out. This needs to be really redone. This needs to be all redone over here, these caps. That needs to be secured. What is that under there? What the hell is that? What is that? Is that a diode? That looks, look at that diode. I think that is a diode, but that's a really small diode. Is that in there for the bias? That must be the bias circuit. But why would that diode be so tiny? It really needs, I would say an amp like this, you would need a little more robust diode than that. But regardless, like I said, this is just something I'm gonna have to get with a customer and see if he wants to put the money into this. That's gonna cost. That's just all there is to it. Otherwise, I'm just gonna have to ship it back to him. Alright, well, I thought about it for a second or two longer, and before I contact the customer, I am going to go ahead and remove all these wires and pull the transformer out. briefly and do some tests just on the transformer itself out on the bench, because again, I have a suspicion that transformer is either burned up, or just looking at all this, it may even be hooked up wrong. So if it's hooked up wrong, you know, it might be a little bit more of a simple fix than I thought, but this could get ugly real fast. But I'm gonna go ahead and undo this transformer, remembering where everything went, and we'll just kind of at least analyze the transformer and see what everything is, what windings are what, and we'll just go from there. Okay, so I've disconnected this red wire, which I believe to have been this center tap. And one of the things I noticed when I was disconnecting the red wire is look at how much exposed lead is there for that connection. I mean, it was like, that's way too much lead for that connection. So I'm suspecting I'm gonna be seeing a lot of the same sort of thing throughout. But anyway, I'm measuring from one side to the blue, well, from the center tap to the blue, which is one side, and I've got 141 ohms. And from the center tap to the other side, I should have about the same, and I do. So those are probably correct. But then again, but now we have to deal with what is going on with the black and the green. Is it possible those are supposed to go to, both supposed to go to ground? Because that's what the black is doing. The green, what is it doing? Where the hell is it getting connected in? I don't know. I almost think it's more likely that this green wire may be on the secondary. I think what I might need to do is figure out the turns ratio on this output transformer. This is not the original output transformer. Okay, so we're going to figure out the turns ratio on this output transformer, and what I've done is I have come out of the variac over there with a cord, and the cord has been stripped on the end. I don't know if you can see the stripped ends down there. There they are. I've got some clips coming up here to both sides of the primary, so one is going to the plate of one of the tube sockets, the other is going to the plate of the other tube socket. I have the center tap disconnected for the time being, and I'm reading the measurement in volts AC. We want to find the place where the secondary is 1 volt, and then we'll see what the ratio is. So this one should be 1 volt, and then we'll see how high this one is over here. So we're going to turn on the variac and just dial it up a tiny amount. Okay, almost got it actually. Bam, right there. 1 volt is 24.5 over here, or we could say 24 to 1. It's close enough. 24 to 1 is the turns ratio. So what does that tell us exactly? Well, it should tell us whether or not this output transformer is even suitable for 7591 tubes, which is what this amplifier is supposed to be running. And if it's trying to run the wrong tubes at the wrong turns ratio on the output transformer, there could be some severe bias issues, and if it never was rebiased, it could have just overheated the output tubes and just fried them. It's possible several things are going on with this amp, but at least that gives us some direction. We know what the turns ratio is 24 to 1. Okay, I'm pretty sure the the secondary on the output impedance on these Gemini 6 should be 8 ohms. But to find the primary, we're going to look at the RCA manual here. This is a push-pull amplifier, 7591s. and we'll go over here to find the effective load resistance plate to plate in a fixed bias amplifier. I don't know if this is fixed or cathode. This is fixed bias. You see on the output tubes, pins 5 there on the output tubes are going through a balance pot to ground. So this is fixed bias. And yeah, there's the fixed bias circuit right there, and the bias adjusts right there. So this is a fixed bias amplifier. So for fixed bias, we're looking at 6600 on the primary, to 8 ohms on the secondary. Okay, so here is what we have. We know that the output of this should be 8 ohms. The primary should be 6600 ohms. We should be somewhere within this ballpark. We know also that our turns ratio is 24 to 1. There's an established relationship between turns ratio and the impedance on the primary and secondary. This equation spells out that relationship, where Z2 is the impedance on the secondary, so that's the secondary impedance. So we know that should be 8 ohms. So we'll just start plugging in numbers here. We know that what we really want to see is if these sides equal one another or come even close to equaling one another. We do know that that Z2, which is the impedance on the secondary, should be 6600, or on the primary rather, should be 6600. The number of turns on the secondary will be 1, right? Number of turns on the primary is 24. That's squared. 1 divided by 24 equals 0.04166666. Repeat. We'll square that. So that's 0.00173661. 0.00173661 times 6600 times 6600 equals 11.45. So we have 11.45 on this side, and we have 8 on this side. They are not equal. In fact, they are fairly far off if you consider that this is, about, almost 50% higher. This transformer is not really made for 7591s. I don't know if he's even got 7591s in this box. I would be curious to see if he even sent 7591s along with this. But one thing is for certain, this is not the correct output transformer, at least if my calculations here are correct. So who knows where this thing is? I mean, this is why you don't want to burn up your power transformer or your output transformer on your vintage amplifier, because if you do that, you basically at that point have a completely different amplifier. You have to redesign everything for it to work. So I could go through this, I could redesign this and make this amplifier work for this guy. But the problem is that's going to take a lot of time, and time is money, and it's going to probably end up costing more than this thing is even worth. So I think at this point I'm just going to shut her down, contact the customer, and let him know that this is a no-go. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I'm sorry it turned out like this, but sometimes it does. It's only happened twice, I think, on this channel where I've had to send something back to a customer without actually fixing it. I hate to do it. It pains me to do it, but that's what we have to do in this case. But like I said, I hope you have enjoyed what little we did get to do. Hit the subscribe button if you did, and also hit the bell to receive all notifications. And for now, y'all take care.